Available statistics on Nigeria's housing deficit paint a grim picture, while at the same time presenting limitless opportunities. The World Bank and the National Bureau of Statistics agree that Nigeria has an estimated housing deficit of over 17 million units. My name is Peace Hyde, and this is my Worst Day on Forbes Africa TV. With a population of almost 180 million, according to data from the United Nations, an annual population growth rate of 2.8% in 2015, and an annual urban population growth rate of 4.7%, one entrepreneur believes we need to stop talking and start building. Let's find out who he is. Dr. Kennedy Okonkwo is the Chief Executive Officer of Nedcomoaks Limited, a proven authority in Africa's property development sector. He is a developer who is challenged by the housing deficiency for the growing population of Nigeria and Africa at large. He is a Spartan nation builder and relentless apostle of making aspirational living affordable. He has received several national and international awards, including the African Business Personality of the Year 2017. Best Enterprise from Oxford Summit of Leaders. He was born in Lagos State on October the 12th, 1977, and hails from Ajotu in Anambra State. Dr. Okonkwo attended Ladilag Primary School, Yaba, and Mobolaji Bank Anthony High School, Lagos, respectively. He attained a BSc in Psychology at the University of Ibadan in 2001. MBA in Marketing at Lagos State University in 2006, and was conferred with an honorary doctorate award by the European American University Commonwealth of Dominica. Dr. Okonkwo established Nedcomoaks Limited in 2007, which has grown to become a key player in the real estate sector with global recognition as an astute property development company. His company, Nedcomoaks, continues to prove its innovativeness as a market leader in the real estate business by providing affordable housing solutions that exceed customer expectations. Among his numerous successfully completed projects are Victoria Crest, Phase 1, 2 and 3, Alexandria Jews 1 and 2, Victorian Luxury Apartments, Kieran Court and Victoria Bay, which is currently underway. With a passion to make aspirational living affordable, Dr. Okonkwo is on a mission to empower Nigerians to gain economic freedom by providing a platform that will enable the middle class to get on the property ladder and create value for themselves and the nation. Dr. Okonkwo wants to build a legacy of impacting his community through his developmental efforts, which remains his driving force for his immense contribution to society through the Kennedy Okonkwo Widows Foundation, the Kennedy Okonkwo Educational Youth Empowerment Foundation, and most recently, Millennial Builders and Developments Project, which is a CSR project for African millennials and entrepreneurs in the real estate sector. So we're aware that your story begins with humble beginnings, and you've managed to build an amazing real estate empire. But from your personal perspective, how would you describe Kennedy Okonkwo?
Kennedy Okonkwo is an African. He's a husband, a proud dad. He is, most importantly, a Nigerian entrepreneur. I believe so much that Africa's problem can only be solved by Africans. I believe so much that the problems of real estate can only be solved by a combination of Africans coming together to tackle those problems. And that is why I have chosen that path.
You've built a very strong name in the Nigerian real estate space, and it's expanding across West Africa. But something you mentioned about changing the potential of African youth is very key to your upbringing. You started off with very humble beginnings and have actually become a very defining name in the real estate industry in West Africa. Can you please tell us more about that entrepreneurial journey?
I started from a very humble background. I was born into a family of 8. I was the 5th. And so being in the 5th in a family of 8 meant that food wasn't going to be enough for everybody. Education wasn't going to be there for everybody. And so you had to do the extra to get the needed attention. My father was a retired military officer who ended up, at some point, settled up a business, and he was, working for the Nigerian Sports Commission. Back then, it used to be called Nigerian Sports Commission. That's like the NFA now. So what they were doing then was he gets contracts for washing the reservoir tank at the National Stadium. And if that is completed and he gets paid, it is from there that he's able to say, Kennedy, how many textbooks do you need to buy? And he will provide for it. And so when that was no longer forthcoming, he reached out to the Nigerian Legion, because he used to be, he was a retired military man. So he reached out to the Nigerian Legion, and they were able to give him the opportunity to become a security guard. The day my father had the stroke, before he died, he went to work. So that tells you the sort of person he was, that at 73, he was still going to work every day of his life.
The powerful aspect about your journey is, from a big family, you said you're the first to actually get a university education. However, the time that you were going through university education, your family were actually homeless, living under a bridge. Can you please explain to me, because I can't imagine what that experience was like for you. How did you manage to get through that difficult period in your life and your family's life?
My dad died, and the landlord had to kick us out of the shop that we called our home. And the nearest place we could find as home was the Oba Bridge flyover. Underneath it, just by the Obafemi Awolowo glass house. And that's where my mom and my siblings and myself could call home. We stayed there for quite over a year until Pastor David got us in to stay in the church premises just directly behind the Obafemi Awolowo glass house. And then I was in school, and every day of my life I was telling myself, if I ever get to become successful when I come out of school, the first thing I was going to do is to put a roof over my parents' head, over my siblings' head. And that marked a turning point for me, because I kept asking myself, there are plenty of people just like Kennedy Okonkwo's family who don't have a roof over their head. And if somebody doesn't have a place to lay their head on, what sort of dream is that person going to have? So I thought in my head, if I come out of school and I'm able to put my family in a place they can call home, even if for a year or two, I would have accomplished everything I wanted for myself. And when I came out of school, I was able to afford an apartment somewhere in Abaranje Road, around the Kotunegbe area. And I was able to pay for a year. There are plenty of people who are like me, who don't have a roof over their head. And the question is, what kind of dream is that young man want, that young girl who doesn't have a roof over their head? What kind of dream are they going to have? What kind of vision are they going to have? What kind of ambition are they going to have, knowing fully well that they are squatting under the roof? So you ask that man, what does he want to become in future? The nearest thing to his environments are bus conductors, hawkers under the bridge. Is that the kind of people we want to build for Africa?
What I find the most powerful about your story is you have actually gone on to make that vision as a young man a reality by becoming an extremely prominent face in the affordable housing sector in Nigeria. Now, it's not an easy feat, but what would you say are some of the major challenges and opportunities you've been able to find in your journey that can impact the millennial generation looking to follow in your footsteps?
The traits that have made me who I've become today are the same traits that I found in each and every one of us. I have taken it upon myself that my word would always be my bond. I believe that everybody should have integrity. Over time, I tell my colleagues and friends that if you take away the entire wealth that I've created, the entire wealth that I've built, if you still leave me with my name, I will still be successful. I believe that every entrepreneur, every person who works for others should see themselves more like an intrapreneur more than any other thing. When you work for someone, you shouldn't see that you're doing somebody's job. See that you're doing your job. If you're a driver and you are not efficient at driving because you feel it is Peace's car or another person's car, the day I decide to give you that car for yourself, you're not going to be able to maintain that car. So I believe that every person should have the entrepreneurial spirit within them, because that will help to build them. We need to train and build honest people. We need to train and build hardworking people. The opportunities in this part of the world are a whole lot. I tell people, when you go out of the street, the opportunities are plenty in our environment. There is road to be swept, there is gutters to be cleaned. I once told some youth that you wake up every day believing that somebody should give you money. You haven't asked yourself, the street to that rich man, go there, send him a letter that you want to clear the drains in front of his house. Remind him that you have done it and you need to be paid for what you have done. If you're the best cleaner who cleans drainages street by street, one day you'll be known all over the local government. One day, if the local government were to have a bidding for the preferred cleaner to clean drainages, that person will end up being the person. I believe so much that we shouldn't be docile in all we do. I believe I'm a lion, I should conquer my territory. I believe so much that if I'm doing business, I should be the best at what I do. I can't be second fiddle.
I know it's been a long journey to build the reputation and the brand, and most importantly, the business acumen that you've built. But what would you say has been your worst day in business so far?
If you're talking of my worst days, I'll tell you of 2 days that have shaped my life. One was before I became an entrepreneur, while the other was while being an entrepreneur. Before I became the entrepreneur that I am today, one of my cousins stole the entire sum of money that was supposed to be the entire worth of a business that I was running for my cousin. And that has come to shape my mind. Date was 1997, January 7. He carried the entire sum that was all the business of distributing rice that we were running was worth. And he absconded to Ghana. And we couldn't find him. And every other person thought I stole the money. And every day I'll tell everyone, it was taking me so much pain to convince my cousins, to convince my in-laws, our in-laws, everybody around me that I don't know anything about this. I didn't steal this money. And I didn't plan with him to steal this money. So when he stole the money, went away, it took nearly over 2 years of my being in the university, because that was the last I could do with the business. The business shut down and everything about the business was taken off my hand. And I lost everything to my plan of being an entrepreneur before I go into school. It went with it. But now, being in business, if I'm to describe my worst day in business will be sometime in 2011. I was already married. I had it all going well. I felt there were opportunities to bank land, and I invested heavily trying to bank land because I was seeing the potential that, well, there was an area in Chevron that if I could buy so much land and keep for a while, I could end up having some funds. So I was preparing for funds to start construction and pay back what we were owing the bank. So as I finished paying the bank what we were owing them, thinking that my loan was going to be enhanced, I decided to, have a safety net. So I applied to 3 different banks in Nigeria for a loan. And as I applied to them for loan for the construction, all the banks turned down our offer to provide us with the loan. And the last bank that I felt that had given us funds before was going to give us money again. I said to myself, if the first 2 didn't give us, the last one is our sure banker. And in that same week, the branch manager called me for a meeting that he was coming to my place. And when he came, he said, I'm sorry, your loan was not approved. And I looked at myself, is this the end? And I was like, how on earth? It is real, what we're doing is real. We have opportunities, we have customers who want to buy properties. We have land, we have already started building. We needed money to finish. If we could finish, we would get money from our customers and move on. And it was the first time I was expanding the purview of the projects we were doing. And I said to myself, if this is the end, I don't want to go down without a fight.
So leading up to this time, did you ever have any issues in the financial space at all?
There was nothing. It was just the banks didn't feel at that particular point in time they could lend.
So the banks have refused you. You're thinking, is this the end of my business? What was going through your mind in terms of the next steps?
You don't want to imagine how I saw the next day. I literally couldn't sleep in the night. And all I was doing was, while I lay on my bed, I was saying, God, it's time for you to come through for me. God, I've spent a greater part of my life praying for other people. Now I'm praying that you should give me money tomorrow. Because I also had customers who had paid us money, and for one way or the other were saying, return my money, I don't want to buy now. So I was going to be running the risk of, I don't have money to build. I have some customers' money to refund. Who needs it? Because he had just left his place of work. So he needs a refund of his money. And I don't want to be a stumbling block. Mm-hmm. And I also don't have the money to go and build. So I was stuck. So that whole night, it was all prayers. And by the next day, even while I was praying, I was crying physically. That God, I know this is not your plan for me. I was going to end here. And I need you, Lord, to come through for me at this.
But then did you take any immediate steps to rectify the situation? Because prayer doesn't...
Prayer works,
prayer
yes,
works,
but it doesn't answer it immediately.
Yes.
The next day, what I had done the night before was, when the branch manager left my office, I called a couple of people that I was putting up some landed property for sale. Okay. And I knew that if I didn't get money the next day, I was going to have a scandal on my head, most importantly, because I needed to refund someone. Mm-hmm. And I also needed money to keep up. Mm-hmm. And I said to myself, that God, if truly you're God, tomorrow morning when this client comes to come and look at this land, I want him to pay me money. Mm-hmm. So if truly you're God, I want you. I have never begged you for money all my life. But today I'm begging that God, tomorrow morning, when they come, and you don't want to know what happened the next day. A celebrity in Nigeria came with her husband to come and buy the land. And when they got there, the wife said there's waterlog everywhere, that she's not coming down from the vehicle. And was busy calling the husband, get back into the car, let's go. And I was in my head, you don't know what you want to cause for me. Today, he must pay me. In my thoughts, I wasn't talking to her. Yeah. But then the husband stood there and she was busy shouting, there's no time, please come, let's go, let's go. And while we were there, the husband asked me, how much is the last price you're selling? Will you sell for 45 million for the 2 plots of land? And I said, well, okay. He said, if you accept to sell, I'll pay you 30 million here. And as soon as while we were discussing, the wife was a little bit irritated, and the husband did something. He called the account officer, collected my account number, punched it in an SMS, sent it to his account officer, and while I was standing there, I saw 30 million naira in my account. Wow. That marked the turning point for me, because I knew at that point that was the biggest risk I could take. I had bank land in an area. I had, for some time, I wasn't building. We had land in a certain area. The land was going for about 30 million in Cherry View. And here was just like less than 600 meters away. We have land going for about 9 million, 12 million. and I had bought so much, thinking that, well, I will sell. But then the rains came. So when the rains came, the whole area became flooded. So without infrastructure, nobody was going to give me money. That land, I felt I got them cheap. But then if nobody comes to buy them, it's worthless.
Yeah. And
nobody will come into a flooded area and give you money.
Now looking back, you said the client came in just at the last minute with a check of 30 million naira, which saved you from the impending scandal on your name. But looking back, is there anything that you would do differently?
So many, because I took a very high risk. I didn't have the liquidity to overtrade. So I took a huge gamble, but I was forgetting something, that the rains were there. Today, I would have done it a little bit differently. Today, I would have checked, are we in the rainy season, are we in the dry season? Because what I was trying to do was to hedge my position, acquire so much land within a particular vicinity, and expect that people will come towards that area and you'll be the only one who has land to sell. But then it would have been easier if the rains were not there. But the rains came, no infrastructure, no roads, no drainages. I would have at least done 1-2 infrastructure in those areas. I would have focused on building the road first. Because if I had built the road and I was inviting banks to come and finance what we're building, they would have said, wow, the road is there. People will come and buy.
And what business principle did you learn from that experience?
What it has taught me today is that not everything seems as easy as people make it seem. So today, I would always ask myself, what business do I do that when I'm doing, if somebody says, I don't want my money again, would I be proud enough to say, take your money back? And I think that has helped me create world-class estates. This has helped me build world-class infrastructures around my project. Because I always ask myself, if customer A says I don't want, I can wake up and say, you know what, write customer A a check. Because what you sold for 30 million, by the time you are writing that check, is now worth 36. So what it means is you need to add up and build exceptional value. So I've learned a whole lot from that experience, and it has helped shape who I've become.
And what advice would you give to young people looking to follow in your footsteps?
I would always tell young people to save. I would always tell young people to do the project in incremental nature. For young people who want to end up becoming developers, you don't have to start from the humongous project. You can start with 2 buildings. You can start even with 1 building. You can grow in progression. Because what you find out happening in our environment, somebody who has never built 10 houses will go and tell you that the first project they want to do is huge, it's massive, it's 50 units, it's this, it's that. They will tell you they have written a very beautiful document around it, that they have done their analysis and it indicates that they will sell as XYZ amount. Have we asked ourselves the housing deficit, along which corridor would we build houses that people would easily take? My company is the first company that will give someone in the middle class an upper class treatment in the kind of home that you want. I tell my people, you take the 3-star money from the man and give him a 5-star house. When you give him a 5-star house, what it means is tomorrow he's going to tell his uncle, his brother, his cousins, come and buy from us. And that's the kind of brand we have struggled to build.
Well, you've heard from the business magnate himself. Now let's find out from some of his closest colleagues and family members a bit more about this remarkable entrepreneur.
Hi, my name is Ichechi Okonkwo. I am Dr. Kennedy Okonkwo's wife, the DMD at Nedcomoaks Limited, CEO Dream Estates Lekki Limited, a subsidiary of the Nedcomoaks Group.
My name is Stephen Aliba. I'm the legal advisor to Dr. Kennedy Okonkwo.
Dr. Kennedy Okonkwo is a very passionate business entrepreneur. He's dedicated to bridging that real estate housing gap in our country, Nigeria. And so he has put in his time and his effort, his discipline to make sure that this gap is filled up.
For the few years I've worked with him, he has been inspirational and motivational person.
He's a man of his word. He's dedicated to his work. He puts in 101% to make sure that he delivers as at when due.
And he's not just a boss, he's also a friend, someone I can confide with, and someone I can trust and tell personal things.
So he's a loving husband, he's a great father, he's a very good brother to his siblings, and of course a good son to his mom. He's generally a philanthropist. He loves to give and give and give. And as a result of this, God keeps blessing him.
The life of an entrepreneur is never an easy one. It's full of ups and downs and a lot of failures. But for those few who are brave enough to venture into this uncertain terrain, the rewards, if you do succeed, are limitless. Do you have what it takes? My name is Peace Hyde, and this is My Worst Day.